Hey guys, welcome to another video. We're going to be talking about the Avatar, the model that you can play in the Combined Army. Recently got resculpted, and if I just show you a look at the one that I painted, I'm not really proud of my paint scheme for Combined Army. At some stage I might strip them and redo them, but for now it'll do. I've basically gone for a very dark green and a little bit of chrome-ish gold sort of for the sinew and muscles, and of course painted the little glowing orange lights around the body, which I think stand out if the rest of them is pretty dark. But for this video, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about theory, how you design a list around them. It's more about the list that you can achieve with the avatar than it is about the profile itself. We'll of course talk about the profile, and then I'll go through a battle report between Combined Army and Haqq. So, how do you play the avatar? Let's talk about what you do. So obviously you have to play the avatar in a standard vanilla Combined Army list. So let's put the avatar in there. That's going to be the first model. Let's do this systematically. So what things do you have to include with the avatar? Basically every game. So I think the only model which is an absolute must is the MedTech Obsidon Dr. Worm. The really crucial thing about this is that if you get isolated or immobilized, game over. But the medtech can actually revive you, take you out of that state. If you're reduced to one wound and that's it, well, the doctor can potentially, restore some wounds. But more importantly, if you end your turn or your opponent's turn in the unconscious state, obviously you can bring him back, and he's a 137-point model. You don't want to lose the game because you didn't have a medtech. On top of that, he still provides the much-needed specialist role where he goes and presses buttons and he can revive guys who are not the avatar. He's got a combi rifle. You would never not take the Dr. Worm in this particular case. The second model, which I think is really, really important to include with the avatar, but not crucial, but very important, is the Forward Observer Unitron. And the reason why I think this guy is so important is that you are using a very crucial model with Mnemonica, and you want a backup model to send your Mnemonica Lieutenant Ghost to. So the Unitron is whip 12, but it becomes whip 17 if the avatar shifts to him after dying. And that allows you to go at the end of the game, use him as a specialist, whip 17 specialist, or fire his flash pulse, potentially hitting on 20s with the flash pulse. Really important. And at 15 points, he's a cheerleader. I really think you should take a guy like this just because that specialist role, if your avatar does go down, is so important. And a lot of games you're not really using him, but he's a 15-point cheerleader, so you can't really go too wrong there. Next model I think you really have to take is the Speculo. And the reason for this is that if you're going second, that's fantastic. You can win the game by moving out with your avatar on the last turn, killing things, using the stealth drone to press buttons. But if you have to go first, and it's not really a mission that's very friendly for going first because you need to have the last turn, then you have to do as much damage at the start of the game as you can. Also, the other consideration is that the Speculo has the opportunity to kill whatever in your opponent can counter the avatar, giving you free reign over the rest of the game. So with that synergy between Strategos level 3 and the Speculo in terms of you being able to see where your model opponents are deployed, they don't have a reserve model because of Strategos, you put the Speculo next to what they're going to be hunting down, and then you go for it. So if you're going first and your opponent has a very obvious lieutenant, you can put the Speculo next to that model and just kill it straight away. You are at an advantage. If your opponent has a single MSV2 model and you have to get rid of it, well, the Speculo can do that, and the avatar has a much easier time of it. I like to take the boarding shotgun in this particular case. I like to take the combi rifle in this particular case. Normally I go for the boarding shotgun. And the reason why I like the combi rifle here is that there may come some games where you just do a lot of work with them and you just slowly plink around the corners and you shoot with the combi rifle, getting rid of models, because you've got an 11 order starting Alpha Strike. You've got the 10 orders from the combat group we're going to create. They cannot be reduced by 2 for the command token because it's going to be a single combat group list. And then you've got the lieutenant order from Strategos level 3 from the avatar. So there are going to be some cases where the speculo just does the work from behind enemy lines and killing everything. And I think rather than just doing the trade where you just move with the boarding shotgun and get a few kills and then you die, the combi rifle, I think, gives you more potential. Because this is going to be a 10 order list, we have to throw some really basic cheerleaders in there. Echidrons, obviously, they're going to be an auto include. We're going to have the R drone in there because it's so cheap, and then we're left with 3 orders left. And this is where you can start building a bit more of a list, where these models, obviously, you probably want to take them, but the remaining few lists, orders, we can do a bit of, opinion side of things here. I like to take a Shrouded, a Forward Observer Shrouded. He's not too expensive. And it gives you that infiltrating specialist. It gives you a little bit of, firepower in the middle of the field. His Shaz Fasti I quite like, but most importantly, you're going to be wanting to press buttons. You don't have a lot of orders in this list, and it's a bit more efficient than moving out with the Stealth Drone or the Unidrone or something like that. So having the Shrouded there, I think, is quite important. I also like to take a Dachiratse. The reason I like this guy is because there are going to be some rare cases where you are up against MSV, and it's, sorry, not MSV, you are up against quite a dangerous ARO piece, and you might want to throw smoke down and just move carefully onto an objective. But more importantly, I think the Dachiratse is really important because if your avatar somehow gets caught in close combat but not destroyed, the Dachiratse can move in and basically kill whatever's in close combat with him, and then you can move out. So that's quite one of the reasons why I like him. Impetuous can be really useful, but again, he's a cheerleader. You're trying to take something cheap without, making all of your models cheap cheerleaders. You could go the way that some people go and go for the Imetrons or the Imatrons. But I think that this is too easy a way to lose an order. What you're going for here is you're trying to stay as close to 10 or 11 orders as you can, and muscle your way through the game with the avatar later on. A Dachiratse is way more resistant to being removed than an Imatron is, because of that physical 14+3 smoke when you're throwing at short range. One more model, and I actually like the Red Fury Haqq. Let me explain why I like this guy. Let's say you have to go first, and maybe your specular deploys in their deployment zone, fails the roll, and has to come back. Or maybe your opponent is just so well defended that the specular doesn't really have a good way of getting in there. Well, the Haqq may roll super, jump, or climbing plus. You might be able to spend 11 orders on the Haqq, plus the Impetuous move, just systematically working around the battlefield, killing important models or cheap models, and then you can wait until later in the game before moving out with the avatar, because they'll have such a fewer range of defenders to stop you. So this is my 10 order avatar list, and again, you can swap things out. You could go the way of having a Q drone in there instead, or you can put Bit and Kiss in there if you're stead, or maybe you could get some MSV2 in there. But I like this list. It's quite well rounded, because if you're defending, well, the avatar does arrows pretty well, and if he does take a lot of damage, you've got the med tech, and if you deploy him carefully, you may well be able to defend with this list. If you have to attack, you've got a few options. If you really want to, you can throw the avatar in their first turn. I wouldn't advise it, because he can get surrounded or hacked or destroyed. But if you have to go first, you've either got the Speculo or the Haqq to do that work, or even the Shrouded in some cases. So that's how I like to play the avatar at the moment. Time now to talk about the game. So this is Power Pack. So we're going to start out with, here we go. So here's Power Pack, and we're going to start out by looking at the table from this view. So this is Deployment Zone 1 for Player 1, and this is Deployment Zone 2. I've actually drawn underneath my camera there. So there's a Deployment Zone along here, and a Deployment Zone along here. But bear in mind, guys, it's not what it looks like, because this is Power Packs. That's where it would normally be. You can only deploy within 12 inches of one of the table corners, right? Why is this not working? Come on, rubber. Anyway, so there's actually a little line across here, and a corner across here, like that. So that's one square, and there's another square across here, another square across here, and finally a little square across here. So there they are. In fact, I might just draw this a little bit more boldly with some red. and you have to deploy in these little corner zones. So you get 16 inches up, but only 12 inches from the side, which does allow you to put your HVT here and here, which is where we put our HVTs respectively. Then you've got to go through these 3 consoles here. Now, if you end up with more consoles by the end of the game, you get 4 points. That's more than your opponent, that is. However, with the objectives over this side, if you get a model in base-to-base contact with your opponent's objective, and if it's a data tracker, and if you prevent your opponent from pressing the button on your one, you get 5 points, as far as I recall. Just going to quickly bring up Power Pack now, just to make sure if I'm right about that. Okay, so what page is Power Pack on? 39. Let's go have a look. So there are a few little nuances of this mission that I sometimes forget. So if you activate the same amount of antennas as even, if you get more antennas, you get four objective points. Okay, that's fine. Controlling the enemy console gives you 2, plus another 2 if they're the data tracker. And if you prevented your enemy from getting yours, you've got the 5th point. So the important thing about this is that you can win even if you don't get more of these consoles, so long as you get your data tracker in contact with their objective and they don't do the same to yours. With antennas, an activated antenna can be activated again by the other player. It's not considered activated anymore, so that's pretty straightforward. I'm not too sure if there are any other bonuses that I can remember. And of course you can control, Chain of Command gives you a bonus. Neither of us had Chain of Command models in this particular game. Wow, there's a saturation zone. I think we forgot about the saturation zone in this game as usual. That would have been interesting actually. So we played the entire game without the saturation zone, but the saturation zone is very, very easy to forget. Alright, so I win the roll for first turn and decide to go with the deployment zone. I want my opponent to choose between either attacking me first and giving me the chance to easily win in the last turn if I defend with the avatar, or to give my opponent the chance to give me the first turn, but he has to deploy everything first with no reserve models, allowing me to do crippling damage either with the avatar, the speculo, or the Haqq. He decided to go first. So here I am deployed on this side. Get some orange. So this is the corner zone, and in fact I'll get out the marker which will show you that I've got a deployment zone along here on this side. And then if we get this out, so you can see the R drone back here, Dr. Worm, and the avatar himself. The Dr. Worm is actually within 6-inch range of the avatar here. Really important because he wants to be able to move out in a single short skill to repair him if needed. Haqq with Red Fury has rolled Climbing Plus, which is one of my favorite ones for that profile. And then we have the Unidron and the Icadron. My opponent made the comment that you might even be able to crawl underneath this bridge up here with Climbing Plus. Doesn't say anything about not being able to go underneath a vertical structure like that. So that's interesting. Of course, the HVT back here and my classified card is Extreme Prejudice. On the right-hand side square, Algebel has deployed over here. But I've got a Icadron, obviously, to keeping a close eye on him. We've got a camo mark here, which is my Shrouded, and the Datratsa is on the stairs there. Okay, my opponent's deployment. So looking from the right-hand side, you can see a bit of a better view that there's Algebel, well, potentially a Fide, actually, and then there's the Speculo, not the Speculo, the Shrouded there. And he's got one of his guys. He's up behind this this building. We're just going to play this particular game as, you know, the doors are opened by a short skill, and the resolution of opening the door happens at the end of the short skill. So that's just the way we're going to play it. A bit of a look out here. So there was this Ghazi we just looked at. He's running the Azrael. He's just bought this model and he wants to try it out. The Azrael has an armor-piercing HMG and armor 5, so he can take hits. He can't ARO all that well, Bliss skill 13 and just an HMG. But if you are piling a lot of shots into a heavily armored target, he can be worth it. I don't really like him just because if you're going to be spending points attacking things, you may as well be doing it with the combination of the Jambazan plus the smoke, or using something which is more likely to do damage, such as Tariq, or even a tag like the Margarita Guard. Of course, if you're going to be defending with him, other things like Lasik Sniper or TR Bot will probably be better. So he's got a Nafatun back here. He's got a Doctor Plus Gulam to help with the Azrael. sensor bot. We've got the 2 Gazi Motiwa back here. A sniper, a Gulam sniper, able to take out this long lane through here. Really likes the snipers, and he's tried to deploy a Panzerfaust Daylami, but it failed the roll, so he's having to deploy at the back of his deployment zone. However, there is a Daylami Panzerfaust shotgun on my side of the table over there. Okay, so there was the Panzerfaust we just talked about at the back of his deployment zone. Here is his HVT. I have deployed my Specular Killer there, and the reason I've done that is that I don't have first turn, and he can't deploy anything in this long sort of gap through the middle, right? So the point of the Speculo is that if he does not kill that Speculo and I just leave it there for the entire game, I automatically get his HVT. It's just hands down, get it. What I can do, though, is if he starts to lose ARO pieces, the Speculo can stand up and start shooting the combi rifle around the back of his lines, or crawl along the side of this staircase and actually take out things that are around the flank here. I can't do it straight away, though, because he is running Armand Lemurt up on top of this building. So the Speculo won't really be able to win that firefight straight away. Here is Armand here. So Armand here, he's got a mine layer profile there, he's got the mine. There's a Gulam doctor as well to protect him, and a Nafatun who is likely to be his lieutenant. And then there's 2 more Gazi Matiwas here, Barid, Killer Haqq, and another Daylami which failed his infiltration roll on the side in line of sight of the Avatar, mind you. You can also see my Haqq, which we already talked about, the Red Fury. He should hopefully be able to crawl down climb down the side of the building and start moving around to use his Red Fury, hopefully. My opponent Impetuous moves with the Gazi Matiwa to begin the game, moving out, throwing a little bit of smoke. We also have a Gazi on this side of the table just appearing there, and the Avatar shoots at him with his long-range gun, and unfortunately the smoke roll wins, so no destruction yet. So that's that. Haqq Renegade moving along the battlefield, but not quite getting into the Avatar's ARO line of fire. So he's able to move onto the objective here, but not into the ARO lane, so to speak. We've also got this Gazi moving up as well. Should be able to put down some smoke. Okay, what my opponent is attempting to do at this point, you can see the Avatar's position there. He's using a coordinated order. He's already put some smoke down here, but he's coordinating a move with the Daylami here to get in and fire his Panzerfaust. But he's got another Daylami coming from this direction. You can't see it, but on the other side of the battlefield. So he's going to try and box me in. I can only ARO one of them at a time with the Avatar. So he's hoping that he can hit me with one Panzerfaust and start to do a bit of damage from the outset. There's the other guy in the distance there. What ends up happening, though, is that we realize Blister Seal 11, +3, -3 for Ranger cover, -6 for the ODD. So I ARO against one of them and kill one of them, and the other guy shoots at me, but with a 25% chance of hitting me, actually misses the shot. So that's pretty good. Bear in mind, with the Panzerfaust, I still get 3 saves on armor 9 plus cover, so armor 12. So chances are probably past 2, if not 3 of those saves. So I'm not too worried about the Panzerfaust. And of course, he's on limited ammunition. He's running out of bullets with that. So continuing along the flank, we've got Spec Fire throwing some more smoke, just trying to move the Gazi Matiwa along the flank, trying to get into range there. The Haqq cannot be affected by Isolate, but if he does get in range, he might be able to hit the Avatar either with a Jammer or an Emirat. Now I've got BTS 9, but if I do get isolated, then I'm in a lot of trouble. So that's what happens. This smoke blocks lost off. He's able to move through behind this box here, and then he's going to be able to move around to here. Once he gets to this point, he's going to be in range. So the problem is, though, that he's in group 2 with all of his Gazi Matiwa, and there's only a single regular order in that group, which he's already used, I think. So he's going to have to burn through all the rest of his command tokens to turn his irregular orders into regular orders. So if he goes for this play, if he makes this gambit, he'll be out of command tokens for the rest of the game. Elsewhere, he's trying to move out with the Azrael, seeing an opportunity to lay some bullets into the Avatar, so we'll see how that goes. It does attempt to discover my camo marker shrouded here, but fails the roll, and he cannot discover with that unit for the rest of the turn. So luckily, my shrouded does manage to survive there. Continuing on. So here's the position. If you look here, the Azrael is on the bridge, the Avatar is right here, So once he comes around to the right spot, he's able to shoot through here, and of course the silhouette for the avatar is actually quite tall, and we do have a shootout on our hands. What happens though is he realizes that ballistical 13, +3, -3 for cover, -6 is only 7s, whereas the avatar is hitting on a 15. He shoots at me, the avatar takes a hit, passes the armor save even with armor piercing, and is able to guts into total cover around here. Now, the Azrael can continue moving around, but the avatar has moved just a little bit further out of range now. And when the Azrael continues to come around, we find that it's put him just out of range of the avatar, just by a smidgen. And the problem now is that the avatar is shooting at -3 for range, -3 for cover, needing a 9 to hit on 1 dice. But the Azrael is -6 for ODD, -3 for range, -3 for cover, hitting on 1s. So you can see the predicament there. All I have to do is roll a 9 or less and he blows up, whereas he has to get a crit on 1. So with that having happened, the Azrael, unfortunately for the avatar, doesn't get any wounds through, but it means that Avatar is more or less safe. So you can sort of see the positioning here. He's trying to come around here, but of course, if he comes in this direction, he's not actually getting any closer. It's almost like you're playing an FPS game and you're strafing to the right. You're not actually moving towards the target, so it doesn't put him within the correct range, and the Avatar able to avoid being pummeled by that AP HMG. We're also just checking and scanning for the exact range here, but exact line of sight. But the Azrael really has to lose cover to actually get into the correct range band, and that would mean the Avatar's hitting on 18s, which is not great. Okay, so now he's trying something else. He's going to try and move out with the Gazimatewa here. Especially because I've moved a bit closer with the Avatar now, so it's a bit easier for him to get into range with his jamming and Emirat goodness. So throwing some more smoke down, moving into the smoke, now he can actually do an intuitive attack, or just simply move out of the smoke. He does decide to go for the intuitive attack, and the Avatar successfully survives the Emirat by dodging. Dodging on something like a 11, I think it is. So there's where we end up. He's thrown a bunch of smoke grenades. The last thing he attempts here is to move Armand Lemuet into a position where he can shoot down. He's going to try and get an angle onto the Krakot here, but also onto the Avatar. We'll see if we can get a bit of a better photo of it. So he's just trying to play around with the exact positioning of him. Nope. Okay, so we're back here. What ends up happening is, though, that I get a bit of a dose of good luck here. Armand decides to, once he realizes he's actually come in line of fire of both the Avatar and the Krakot, splits the sniper rifle, 1 on each. So he shoots the Krakot, kills the Krakot, which is great for him because the Krakot was the only thing that could really have gone and taken out the Gazimatewa, which is locking down the Avatar. If the Avatar activates straight away, he might get hit by the Emirat straight away. So that means that I'm going to have to come up with some other way of killing that Gazimatewa. But on the other hand, it's quite good for me here because the Avatar does get a hit on Armand, and he fails 2 armor saves and dies. So Armand already dead, but I've lost the Krakot. The Gazimatewa is locking down the Avatar. Elsewhere, just moving the Azrael back into safety, and also moving his Dale Army into a better position. And then, it's my turn. So first combined army turn. The Dachuratsu moving up the stairs with Impetuous. Gets shot at by the only just, because the silhouette is taking him over the ledge. The Azrael is able to shoot across here, but the smoke grenade goes down and the Dachuratsu survives. Avatar, after thinking about this for a good few minutes, decides, okay, there are a few ways to do this. We can send the Specular Killer around the back here and try and take out the Ghazi from the back. We could try it that way, although we'll have to win quite a lot of face-to-face rolls to get there. Or we could potentially move the Unidron over here and actually shoot down the edge. That's probably going to mean the Emirat gets placed in such a way that it clips the Unidron and the Avatar. Note that the Avatar starts the turn in this spot here. Or I could try and move Dr. Worm around and shoot him, but of course I get arrowed by various other different models, such as the Krakot, maybe the Dale Army with Panzerfaust. Or I can just suck it up and move the Avatar across here. And the reason why I went for this is that even though I get hit by a free Panzerfaust and a free Emirat, or Jammer, I've got Dr. Worm right there. So the Avatar will end his movement there, the Doctor Worm should be able to move over there and restore him to clear the effects. My understanding is that if you go to clear an effect and you fail the whip check, you can keep trying, and there's no negative penalty like there is with restoring wounds or structure points where you take more damage. I believe you can just clear for free. If you fail the check, you have another go at it. But the thinking is that if I move over here and dodge the Emarat and the Panzerfaust doesn't hit me because he needs something like an 8, well, even if it hits me, I can pass the amber saves. Then I'm free, and then I can go and clear everybody up. So that's exactly what happens. The Avatar moves across, dodges the Emarat successfully. The Panzerfaust misses. The Crack-Up Renegade doesn't get away either. So then I can, easily as that, just move over here on top of the box and blitz everybody. So I can kill the guy with the Panzerfaust, kill the Crack-Up Renegade, eventually kill this Gazimatiwa, and we're happy. So that's the rampage. We thought initially the Azrael could see me when I stood up there, but he had pulled back. He'd gone prone. He's behind a little bit of a lip of the bridge. So next up, obviously shooting at the Fide over here. Willpower 17 with the Discover pretty easily. Remember, when you're Haqq Slum and you're a Fide against Combined Army and other alien races like Tohar, you don't get to use the second level of impersonation where you start with a -6 penalty to them. You just start normal impersonation. So revealing what turned out to be a Fide mine layer, the Avatar wipes them out quite handily. Then continuing on over to this bridge bit here, shooting through, taking out one of his Gazis over here, so removing yet another Gazi Motiwa. And just planting him here, because if the Azrael now decides to shoot from the bridge at him, he can guts back behind the building. So that's exactly where we want to be. So removed quite a few key models now. Also having repositioned the R-drone, able to fire his way down the flank, potentially get a flash pulse off on the Gazi Motiwa once it starts its impetuous run. Okay, so Azrael now going to actually have a firefight with the Avatar. So the problem again with this is that he's hitting on 7s, I'm hitting on a 15. If he does any damage to me, I can pull back behind into total cover. So unfortunately for him, I roll like a 12, he doesn't get any crits, and the Azrael gets smashed by the Avatar in this particular face-to-face roll. Not really that surprising. What he decides to do is he moves in with his Doctor, first of all with the Gazi down on the bottom floor throwing out some smoke, so the Doctor's able to move in. The Doctor goes for it, revives the Azrael, Azrael has another shot at it, and gets crushed again by the Avatar, again. So, not having a great day. This Ghoul Arm moves up the stairs and has a go at the Avatar, which I thought was suicide until we realized it was actually an AR, with a sniper rifle and a surprise shot. So, let's talk about this model. It's a great new model. I love the sculpt. I don't particularly like Hollow Echo on this guy because he always gives his opponent the chance to delay. So your opponent can always do the right thing. Yes, he can pack a little bit of punch with a sniper rifle in ARO, but the Laseek sniper's better at that job. In the active turn, if he's got surprise shot level 2 and a marksman rifle or something, well, aren't you better off taking Tariq or a TR bot with assisted fire or a Rajik with a Spitfire? I think you're better off for those options. So it's just a bit of a shame this guy has some limited application. Anyway, sadly, he loses the face-to-face roll with the Avatar and gets shot by the explosive round. Luckily for him, though, actually, unfortunately for him, taking 2 wounds and going straight to unconscious. Sad. Okay, my turn. Coordinated order, Avatar moving up a little bit closer. I do have another Dachuratse, obviously, another turn with the Dachuratse moving the smoke up. I've got my camo marker moving over to here, just so we can get into better position. Alright, so coordinating order, there's a sniper over here, but I'm in camo marker state, so I can easily move past that line of fire. Once the Shrouded has moved beyond the range, or the sight of the sniper, we can go and start pressing the button. So the middle button pressed successfully here, and then moving over to the flank on my left-hand side, pressing this button as well. There is a Daylami with Panzerfaust, but we're able to go camo again, come behind the marker, go prone behind the objective, and then press the button safely. So 2 objectives secured. That's turn 2. My opponent's final turn. I've got a Speculo here. Does reveal. to shoot at the Ghazi before the turn finishes. Okay. So in his final turn, his Ghazi Matua using Impetuous to move a bit closer to the Speculo, but it's prone, so it can't be seen over the lip of that staircase wall. Avatar gets confronted by this particular Ghazi. Now, he doesn't have any more orders in Group 2 to spend on him. Avatar successfully dodges the Emirat, and again, Avatar is okay. It's worth him doing this though, because if he does manage to isolate me and immobilize me, well, that severely reduces my chance of going over there and actually being the data tracker. Of course, the Avatar is the data tracker. His data tracker was the Aya, which is now dead. I was a bit suspicious when he declared that his Ghulam doctor was the data tracker. I should have known. I didn't figure it out at that point. So, Ghazi does not manage to beat the Avatar. His Barid now moving out. And that's the Barid in the distance. The Flash Pulse having a go at him. I don't know whether you're allowed to Cyber Mask in view of the enemy. You can't re-impersonate when you're in view of the enemy. But Cyber Mask, it might just be a face-to-face roll. We decided, just for the sake of argument, to play it as a face-to-face roll against the Flash Pulse, and he does manage to do that. And the only reason he did this is he only has a few orders left. He needs to Cyber Mask at this point. He needs to walk over to this point here as a impersonation marker, and then walk onto the objective and recapture it. So it's 2 objectives to 1 at the end. We might have missed it, but there was a photo as well. Oh, here it is here, where he moves out with his sensor bot and successfully hits the objective, getting blasted by the Avatar as he does that, but passes the whip check to get there. So after passing that, sensor bot is down. The Barid moves over to my objective. He has actually shot the Shrouded on his way over there successfully with his rifle, but when he gets into the objective, he fails to press the button, so the game is effectively sealed right there. To finish things off, the Speculo takes out the Ghazi in the back with these rolls, so 2, 2, and 11, so successfully killing him. And the Avatar, the menacing Avatar in the background, takes out this Daylami here with the Panzerfaust, and finally moves into base contact with the objective and captures it with the Stealth Drone. My opponent pointed out that I think you need to press the button with your data tracker, but I don't actually think you have to actually pass a whip check on the actual enemy console. You just have to control the enemy console and to have prevented the enemy from having connected your console. Oh, it's connecting it. Okay, so I've connected his console and have prevented him from doing the same to mine. So this is a 10-0 win for the Avatar and the combined army over Haqq. Let's just point a few basic things out, though. If he had been running his normal list with the Janbazan, he would have had a much better chance of doing damage to the Avatar. Would he have killed me outright? Well, dice rolls would have been involved, but it would have been harder for me. Janbazan, in most cases, better than the Azrael. Just generally. If he had Tariq instead of the Ayer, that attack might have actually had more traction. Fatality level 2 is pretty good. You know, he might have been able to get through some hits through onto various models. That probably would have been better. If I'd been a little bit unluckier, if I hadn't managed to take out Aman Lemuet, things could have been harder for me. But again, ending the first turn with the Avatar alive and a way of getting him away from danger pretty much sealed it. Having the last turn with the Avatar and the Shrouded hanging around is really, really powerful. I didn't even need to go for his console here. I could have always just sent the Avatar over to one of the middle consoles and used the Stealth Drone to swing back one of the objectives to my side. Had it been me going first against Tariq and the Janbazan and the potentially El Jabal, could I have done a lot of damage? Yes. I think I probably could have done a lot of damage with either the Avatar or the Shrouded, or the Speculo, or the Krakot. So, all in all, I think this list is very strong, good for a lot of different missions, and just gets even better when you're playing a mission like Supremacy, where you can put a really big tanky model in a zone, or even better with Deadly Dance, Show of Force. Missions like that, really good for the Avatar. So, my recommendation is that if you're playing in a tournament, and some of the missions are, for example, good for this guy, like Deadly Dance and Show of Force, for example, take a 10-order Avatar list like the one I've created, and then have a secondary list, which is a bit more of like a 16-order versatile list, which you can do more work with. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the Avatar. That's how you play him, and I'll see you next time.